Who was the original god of the Germans and the Celts? Let's start out with the Germans, who never even called themselves Germans because, according to Strabos, the name German derives from the Latin word for genuine, and the Romans called them that because they considered the Germanic tribes to be the purest nation. Therefore, they became known as the genuine tribes. Similarly, Bishop Sidonius pointed out that having blue eyes has always been a defining trait of the German people. Now, a lot of people falsely assume that Odin was the original god of the Germans, but there's no evidence that Odin even existed prior to the 5th century AD, and by that time, you already had German Christians due to the missionary Uthla translating the Bible into the Gothic language. Not to mention that all the Eddas were written by Christian monks at a time when paganism was illegal in Europe. However, before the Germans worshipped Odin, we can read the writings of Tacitus and see that the Suebi, who were the most powerful tribe in ancient Germany, worshipped the Egyptian moon goddess Isis. But if we want to know which deity the Germans worshipped before that, we have to go all the way back to before they were even known as Germans and were called Scythians and lived in Scythia, which is where Jordanus says the Goths originate. Of course, we don't have any first-hand accounts from the Scythians themselves, but we do have Greek historians, such as Herodotus, who mentioned how the Scythians had blue eyes, just like their German descendants. Now, according to Herodotus, the Scythians worship Zeus. However, the problem with this is that he also states how the Scythians would execute their fellow Scythians, kings and servants alike, for worshiping Greek gods, so clearly Zeus couldn't have been their main god. Although Herodotus does share with us an interesting detail about the Scythian god, and that is how he forbid them from sacrificing swine. Next, we have the Celts, who, similar to the Scythians, we don't have any first-hand accounts, but we do have the writings of Roman historians, the first one being Strabos, who said that the Celts worshipped a god with no name. Following that, we have Julius Caesar, who wrote about how the Celts had a priest class known as Druids, who operated the same way the Levitical priests did, because according to Diodorus Siculus, the only people who were allowed to perform a sacrifice were these priests, and the greatest penalty that could be given to an ancient Celt was being banned from participating in one of these sacrifices. And these sacrifices were offered on altars, which is what Stonehenge was used for. Now, the question still remains, where did all of these religious practices come from? And I think it's very obvious. They came from Old Testament Israelite traditions, but as the prophet Hosea said, Israel has forgotten his maker, and they began practicing paganism, such as worshiping nature instead of the creator.